Hi everyone, I have a little guest with me today. Mason, say hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yes, so generally I find it quite annoying when other YouTube artists start including their kids in their videos because, it's all about peace and quiet when it comes to art videos on YouTube for me personally. But hang on there. So what I'm trying to show today is that my little one wanted to skip his. You want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. But careful with the camera. So he wanted to skip his nap, and there was no way. But I wanted to paint, and I really wanted to dedicate my time. Now, as a mum, what do? You still have to somehow try to find the time and space in your life. So as he is running around, I am going to show you how to paint something that doesn't take too much time, and you can take something as complicated as this and simplify it and still get so much joy. This idea, yes, what are you doing there? This idea came from doing this little illustration yesterday. Mason, no. And so I can't find it right now. It's the suite that I did from... Let me just go ahead and find it. So it's this suite that is from Billy Shoal's. Let me just quickly show you. That's the book, Fruit and Vegetable Portraits by Billy Shoal. And so that's the suite that I really, really love. And I've been looking at it for ages. And I thought, no, it's way too complicated. How am I going to do it? And so I simplified it yesterday. And I had so much fun painting. I can't explain to you that it really is quite liberating. So I think also what's helping me is the book I'm currently reading, the Elizabeth Gilbert, about being creative and kicking the fear off and sort of going with it. Okay, so I'm going to basically look at this passion fruit. Sorry if the camera is bouncing a little bit. It's Mason jumping around. So I'm looking at this passion fruit and kind of like the leaf here because it has so many different colors. So I'm going to sketch it out. The other thing I discovered is that actually using a mechanical pencil is a lot more fun to draw with than a regular pencil, because with the regular pencil you have to stop and sharpen the tip of it so many times, and then you get this variety of a super freshly sharpened pencil line that's very thin and sharp, to a very kind of soft and thicker line, which I don't like at all. Whereas here with the mechanical pencil you get the same pencil mark throughout. So let's go ahead and try to isolate a certain things on this illustration to make it simpler for us. So this bit here is quite illustrating. What? No, not these. So what we could do is we could isolate this area here, but then it would be difficult to understand what this orange thing is. Whereas if I'm going to paint the fruit in the middle and then some sort of foliage around it, then it would be a lot easier, I suppose. So let's just start and we'll see how we get on. So I'm just going to plan out the shape of this, and I'm not going to worry if it doesn't look right or doesn't look realistic, because I want it to be quite sketchy. Once you make it quite sketchy, it becomes a lot easier to follow. So over here, I'm just going to try and figure out how I'm going to do. So roughly, you can see this area here. So this bit is connecting. So I'm just going to do that like so. And over here I've got a leaf coming in, actually, like so. Be careful of not rubbing too much this paper, because this is the Stillman and Birn sketchbook, and it doesn't like when you make too many mistakes with the pencil and then erase it a few times, it starts to disintegrate. So then I'm just going to really not worry about all the detailing of this leaf, and just go with it and really. Yeah. Exactly, Mason. Yeah. Just realized this isn't right because and then it has to connect, and then we go. So that's not right. So I'm going to quickly correct this, and then I'm going to just very loosely, as you can see, and that's the fun about it. It makes the illustration so much faster. So I'm going to give this curl of the leaf. Now, if you want it to be a lot more sketchier, what I tend to do is just then kind of go ahead and emphasize certain lines if I want to correct something or to emphasize it, and that makes it even more sketchier, like so. Some people don't like that look. For example, for botanical art, you tend to work really carefully with your pencil because you want to take off the you don't want to have those pencil marks generally. But as I realize, I like to combine the botanical art with a bit of fun and with a bit of loose precision, I'd say. So that is about it. There are a few lines going on here. I'm not going to take all of them off because I actually quite like that, but I'm going to take some of them off. And that is it. So that was a very quick way of illustrating this leaf. Now I'm going to concentrate. Careful, Mason. I'm going to concentrate on the veining of these leaves, and I'm going to just have a really quick look where I need to add my pencil marks. So let's see. So the veining goes like so, and then we have, so by using more of the pencil in the first stages of the illustration, you basically make it a lot easier for yourself at the later stages of the illustration, because you won't do you agree, Mason? Because you won't need to work with your watercolor to create all these intricate marks and lines and everything. So you can make it a lot easier. So I just like to add a bit of a sketchy line here and just make it a bit more looser, but that is really optional. If you don't like that, you can stay away from that. And I'm just going to continue here. I am looking at the leaf just to see whether I'm doing everything realistically correct. As you can see, I left out this part of the leaf because my drawing isn't exactly the same imitation of the illustration. Yeah. And what do I have here now? And this in fact is a little bit too much, so I'm just going to that's a curved leaf, so I'm just going to do this, and that should be enough, like that. And then we go and have the veining on top of it. So basically that is it. With pencil, when you work, you have to be careful because you tend to smudge, so you can use a tissue to place on top. I'll show you in a second. So you can, for example, place a tissue and then start watercoloring. So as Mason is misbehaving a little bit in the background, I am trying to still focus on this, And I'm going to grab my brush. I'm going to use this is this is my first watercolor palette. This is Daler-Rowney and it's a student grade. And again, I just want to demonstrate that you can have fun with, you know, watercolors that aren't artist grade, although typically I prefer to do that. Anyway, so let's concentrate on the foliage. So this particular petal, I'm going to do water glazing first. It's got loads of colors there, so I want to capture that and to try and glaze just where it needs to be glazed, because it's hard to see at this point. So I'm going to leave these two wet. So here I can see some green and yellow, so I'm going to go into this, what looks like a sap green, and I'm going to, gosh, it's been ages since I used these watercolors. I'm going to mix up a nice sap green, and then I'm just going to drop it in where I can see green parts of the leaf, and probably around here. So I don't really have much time because I can feel Mason is getting a little bit restless with mommy doing this video, so just trying to demonstrate that you can paint something where you don't have to 100% concentrate. So then I have some yellow here, so I'm going to go in with more yellow, like so. Yes, Mason, mommy is painting a lovely leaf, and I'm going to avoid those red areas here that you can see, and I'm just adding some of these where I can see the yellow, and I'm going to move on to these two in a bit, but I can see some yellow here as well, and I'm just going to wash out my brush and just add a bit of water and just do this. Okay, so now I'm going to mix up, add a little bit of red into this, and have a similar color, which is sort of this color, and I'm going to drop it in like so, and here and there. Yes, Mason, 1 second, mommy is almost done. And just for the measures, I'm going to add a bit more of this red just to bring it out slightly more, and it's going to flow a little bit. Now, keeping in mind, because it's a student grade, they're not going to behave as beautifully as an artist grade watercolor, but it doesn't mean that you can't create something that you will enjoy looking at. So this color is slightly more kind of grayish, and that is because we're trying to think how to mix that color. That is because it's a reverse. So I'm going to go in. As you can see, I'm changing up my watercolor technique, going from wet in wet and dry in wet, so that doesn't really matter. And then the same color I'm going to apply here, and then I'm going to, so these areas here, you really need to wait, these two curled petals, you need to wait until you have had a good chance to add another layer of color, which will be once they dry. So I'm just going to really simply not even play around with any color mixing here, and just add a bit of the stalk color like so, and I can see this one is a little bit more greener, and I'm going to go in and take that this looks like emerald green with the yellow ochre, and I'm just going to add that right here, and then the rest is quite beigey, so I'm going to probably go into this ochre, but diluted predominantly because I don't like yellow ochre generally as a rule, and then I'm going to make them flow into one another a little bit here. And that is it. Then I'm going to concentrate while these two areas are drying. I'm going to concentrate on the actual fruit. As you can see, the color is lovely and bright, so I'm going to mix up a lovely orange over here. There is a similar color. Sorry if I'm talking too fast, but this is sort of more of a speed painting in real time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add yeah, add this, and then I'm just going to do a quick, so if you forgot to glaze, you can see you can go in and still glaze it, and I'm going to leave some highlights as well. So then I'm going to go in to this very orangey bit and just add it like that, and it's fine, let it just play with it, you know, just really enjoy. Ooh, no, not that much enjoyment. Now Mommy made a mistake. So I'm going to try and work with this mistake and actually go outside of Mason, careful. Go a little bit outside of the line because it's really impossible to correct the one I've just made. And that is how I'm going to go about it. I'm also seeing a little bit of color right here and a little bit of browny color. So I'm going to mix up this dark red over here like so, and that should be enough. And I'm going to add this on like so, and I'm going to also mix up a little bit more of the yellow, so it's more of an orangey tone right here like so, and I'm going to add that onto here and here. So I can try and mop a few things, but this is not the paper to do it on. I find that Stillman and Birn is not great for lifting. It will start looking tired. So I'm going to leave the fruit as it is. I quite like the colors, and I'm going to intensify this little bit here, which needs to be very super red. And yeah, and then I'm going to add a little bit of color right here. Careful, Mason, careful. Mommy's almost finished. And then I'm going to work on this green area. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre, and that will sort of give it that type of color. A little bit muddy, but it works well because it sets off. And then I'm going to also mix up that kind of, this is perfect color to go into here. And if it's a bit too much and you need to wash it out, then wash your brush out and dry it out on a piece of towel, and then just go in. And I can see it needs to be a little bit more warmed up, and I'm just going to go in and warm the color up and then go back in, and this is a better mix like so. So then what I could do is just where the leaves are almost dry, I can mix up a lovely green color, a little bit darker. Oop. And warmer, so about this color here. And I can go in if I want to and just in some places add a little bit more detail. Where the watercolor is still wet, it will work even better because it will just sort of take it and go with it. It'll flow a little bit. You don't have to do this. This is just something like an additional step, but I find it just adds a little bit more of that breakdown. So that is it. I don't know how long it took me, but it felt very quick because I was really hurrying and I had to multitask, looking over my shoulder, making sure Mason doesn't make any mess in Mummy's art studio. And so, as you can see, I'm pretty happy with it. It's not, it's not something that's obviously as intricate as Billy's illustration, but for those of us who have very limited time but still want to do something that is art related, I think this is a great way. Just look at anything. It could be any complicated or non-complicated piece of fruit, flower, vegetable, whatever it is, and then just try to draw something that you like out of it, and then paint it with watercolor and concentrate on the main aspects. So there's a highlight here, then we have the shadows over here, so then there's a bit of red on the foliage, so there is some realism here, but it's not too intricate to the point where you might feel a little bit scared where to start or intimidated by the original piece. So I hope this helps you, and thanks for watching, and see you soon.
Bye-bye.
And Mason wants to say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.